Greetings to you all, our viewers and listeners living and working in different parts of the world. Today, I'm excited to introduce our special guest on the podcast, Professor Felix Lessambo, who is currently with Fordham University here in the United States. He just recently released a new book entitled Bank Deposit Guarantee Systems, a comparative study within the G-20 countries. This is a book that's coming out of the series that's being run by Palgrave Macmillan, which is a series on the studies in banking and financial institutions. If you'd like to access this book, please do click the link that is in the description panel of this video. If you're looking for a scholarship, if you're looking for a job, if you're looking for a research grant or an internship, please do not forget to hit the link that is in the description panel on the upload for this video. Global South Opportunities is there to support you all the way with the information that you need and with the guidance that you will get from trained professionals that are with the organization. Enjoy the show. Dr. Felix, thank you so much for making the time. Welcome to the show.
Welcome. I'm pleased to be your guest today. My name is Dr. Felix Lessambo. I'm a lawyer mainly. I have a PhD in law from the Finance Law School in France, which is Panthéon-Assas. And then I came to the United States and earned my LLM, which is Master's in Legal Law in International Taxation from NYU. So as to my field of expertise, mostly I describe myself as an international tax lawyer and an expert in the field of law and finance, as well as law and management. So I have taught both international tax course at St. John's University in New York, corporate tax, individual tax, partnership tax, and then I moved to embrace law and finance at Monroe College in New York, where I was exposed and called to teach mainly finance courses such as mergers and acquisition, international finance, international and global markets. So as to my previous books, I have published in both fields, both taxation as well as banking and finance. In 2020, I published one book, the first book on this topic, banking and finance. The title was The US Banking System, the Law, the Regulations, and the Risk Management. And moving ahead since 2021, as I focus my study in the field of banking and finance by bringing together the group of 20 countries known as G-20. So in 2022 or 2023, I don't remember exactly, I published the first in that series, Anti-Money Laundering, and with Palgrave and Macmillan. And then I moved to complete another book, FinTech Challenges Within the Banking Industry, a comparative study within the G-20. And this coming April 2024, there is one of my book with the title, The Bank Deposit Guarantee System, a comparative study within the G-20
country. Wonderful.
Coming for in maybe June, I have another one. I think the title is Bank Monetary Policies and the Challenges, a comparative study within the G-20. Now, for now, we will focus on the title, Bank Deposit Guarantee, system, a
Wonderful.
comparative study within the G-20.
So now we can get into the discussion of the book. I would want you to define what is meant by the term you use for the book, bank deposit, the terms you use for the book, bank deposit guarantee systems, and as you define that, you can take me through the core ideas of the book and maybe what you consider to be the central argument.
Okay, very good. The main reason I focus on that topic was that we're going through 2020, 2021, 2022, we went across some sort of bank failures, bank liquidations and the like. And I was thinking of, okay, what happened if a bank collapses? Banks and insurance companies are I may say, distinct financial animals. When they get in trouble, that they may affect the financial stability of a country, of the overall system. So I decided to focus and to run that study looking at, okay, how many countries, as of the time I was completing the book, 2022, 2023, how many countries have an explicit form of bank deposit guarantee? A bank deposit guarantee is a system which allow bank depositor, anyone who may have an account in a commercial bank, when the bank collapses or fails, the guarantee system will be there up to a certain amount to protect the depositor, those who have put or kept their money in the bank. So that is pretty much the essence of bank deposit guarantee system. A system which protects bank depositor in commercial banks. We're not talking about investment banks.
Oh, yes.
When you put your money in a commercial bank, and if the commercial bank fails, what happens to your deposit? Okay. And I found that there is a guarantee that almost all the countries are trying to provide so that they can prevent what is known as bank run. Because if there is a collapse, what happens? Everybody starts running to the bank and trying to pull all their money. And if there is no money left in the bank, that may compromise the financial stability of the country or of the overall system. That is pretty much the aim of the study. So, by and large, as of the time I was completing the book, we have almost or over 107 countries with explicit deposit guarantee system. When I say explicit deposit guarantee system, I try to oppose it to implicit deposit guarantee system. What I mean by that is explicit is that in a given country, we have a law which protects up to a certain amount what depositor can collect after a bank has collapsed. An implicit system which may exist in other countries is there is no law. But if there is a failure, the government may choose, they are not mandatory, they may choose to step in and protect or reimburse the depositor up to a certain amount. So we have two systems. We have the explicit system where we have a law that protects. And we have the implicit system, which is like, okay, it's dependent to the government to do whatever they choose to do. Now, when we look at the bank deposit system, we have a different or a variety of bank deposit guarantee system. Some system will say, okay, keep your money in the bank. If there is an issue or if the bank fails, the government or the agency will step in and pay you to the full amount of whatever you might have. We have most of the country with explicit bank deposit guarantee. They will not secure or tell you that they will be there to secure the full amount of your deposit, but they put a cap, a certain amount, and they said, okay, if at the time of the bank failure, you possess or you own such amount, we will be there to pay. For instance, in the United States, we have the Federal Deposit Insurance Company, which is an agency of the government. And we have the Federal Deposit Insurance Act, which step up and say, okay, if you have an account within a commercial bank in the United States, and if the bank collapses, the Federal Deposit Insurance Company will be there and secure up to 250 per account, per individual, okay? And we have different regimes when it comes to corporations or when it comes to trust. I don't want to get into the detail of that, but that is pretty much the essence of the bank deposit system. Now, you may understand why governments are stepping in and providing some sort of explicit bank deposit guarantee. The main reason is because they want to protect and to secure what we call financial stability. Banks are key player in finance. If banks start failing, such as we have in 2023, we have the failure of Silicon Valley Bank in California, and we have also the failure of the First Bank in New York. Now, when this happened, because the US provide security up to 250 per account, there was no bank run. People choose not to go and pull out their money from the bank because they know that the government or the agency, the Federal Deposit Insurance Company, will be there to pay them their money.
Oh, yes, yes.
So that is pretty much what I was studying. It may surprise many people. The United States was not the first country to come up with the idea of bank deposit guarantee.
Okay.
The first country in the world which provided a sort of bank deposit guarantee was Czechoslovakia.
Oh, nice.
But the guarantee that was provided by the government of Czechoslovakia was not a full guarantee. And the United States developed the broader system of bank deposit guarantee. That is why sometimes when we spoke about bank deposit guarantee, people think that that is the invention or the innovation of the US government. No, it started in Czechoslovakia. The US embraced the idea and the US moved forward with the idea. And from the US model of bank deposit guarantee, all the rest of the country will get inspired and try to mimic the US law.
Oh, wonderful. So now, what contribution does your book make, or the ideas you raise in the book, what contribution do they make, or does it make to the conventional discourse on banking and finance that you engaged with?
Oh, that's a very good question. Now, as I said, nowadays, if we check the map, we might have something like 200 countries. But as I said, only over 107 countries have embraced this system that we call the explicit bank deposit guarantee. The rest of the countries are struggling. The last country, to the best of my knowledge, to join the club was South Africa. We all know that South Africa is among the G-20, and they resisted to the idea of providing bank guarantee to depositor in South Africa Commercial Bank. And they came out with different reasons. And they said, okay, if we move ahead, that will provide what we call moral hazard. That means, okay, bank will do whatever they want with the money that they receive, knowing that if something happens, if they fail, if they collapse, the government or the agency from the government will be there to support. That is the argument that most countries, those who choose not to join the deposit guarantee system will say, okay, we want banks to compete. We want them to win the trust of the clients, the customers, because if we move ahead with such system, such as deposit guarantee system, sometimes they become, okay, less concerned about how to deal, how to manage the deposit or the money that they receive. So the main idea of the book is, okay, I understand here. We have two competing goals. One goal is to provide or to secure financial stability, which to say, okay, we will provide laws, regulations, and rules to organize the banking industry so that you may rest and believe that your money is at the good hand, that if something happens, the government or the agency will be there to back you up. That is the financial stability, which is very important. On the other hand, I use also to consider the concern of moral hazard. And when I check the countries such as the United States, the EU countries, Germany, France, Spain, UK, Switzerland, and the like, all of them have embraced the explicit system of guarantee. But none of them has experienced a moral hazard. It means that banks have become enough mature and now they understand that they have to compete among themselves in the markets, and they have also to make sure that they abide by what we call the market discipline.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
By being transparent as to how they are using the deposits that people have entrusted into them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that have been the two goals of the book.
Mm-hmm.
Explain that bank deposit guarantee is a key and fundamental to the financial stability, and explain also that there is a risk, a moral hazard risk, but that risk has been mitigated by all the banks that I have studied across the G20.
Mm-hmm. I see. I see. Wonderful. So now, well, there's something that just happened with the lighting in here. Let me switch it on and then I'll ask you the question. I'll just go and turn it on now. Oops. Yeah, these are motion lights, so they
Okay.
yeah, so they turn off when they sense that there isn't any movement going on. Yeah. Right. So my next question was gonna be on your focus on G20 countries. What explains your particular focus on G20 countries? And again, I also wanted to understand if there is any connection between bank failures and political instability in countries.
Okay, let me start by the first question. Why do I focus on the G20? Mm-hmm. As we all know, the G20 has been created in London after the crisis that started in the United States, what was known as the mortgage crisis. So before the G20, the only group that focused on financial stability across the globe was the G7. Now, when the United States ignited the crisis, the mortgage crisis, and that crisis affected all financial markets across the globe, not only in the US, not only in the EU, but it affected every significant financial markets across the globe. So something needed to be done. So they come together, governments come together, and they decided to expand the group from G7 to G20, so that the other, what we call the developing country, may also start having their say into the affairs of the world. So that group has been created in London, I think in 2009. Now, the G20 is now, I may say, the premier or the biggest forum where issues that affect international economies, issues that affect international finance are being discussed. And it's a sui generis group because it includes the viewpoint not only of the 7 developed, but it also includes the viewpoint of the developing countries, China, the Latin America countries such as Mexico, Brazil, Argentina, as well as other Asian developing countries. We have Turkey, we have South Korea, and the like. So it's a very dynamic group where questions that relate to international economics or international finance are debated. And the second reason is that we have noticed that the G20 plays a vital role in the international or the global governance. So that has been the reason why I decided not to focus on the G7, but to expand my studies and look over the other countries which are part of the G20 because of their role in the global affair. I mean, global economics as well as global finance. Now, to the second question, is there any link between political instability and financial instability? Yes. We know that banks, mainly here, the link can be well understood when you look at the role of the central banks. Okay? And to mention that, I have a book which will be released, I think, by June or July.
We should talk about it, by the way. We should talk about
exactly. Central banks,
whenever
monetary policies, challenges, a comparative studies across the G20. Now you see, when central banks are not independent, when central banks start receiving injunction from political leaders, now we understand that political leaders, they are looking for a short fix, a quick fix. While in the field of finance, mainly the mandatory of the central banks is to provide and to keep inflation within a certain range. Now, when a country is politically unstable, the instability from the political spectrum will affect the financial system. Because those in charge of the financial stability, they start receiving injunctions and order from the political realm, and that's most of the time conflicts with the goal and the assignment of the central banks to keep inflation under control. So the link is there. Now, when you establish the link between the political instability and how political instability affects the role of the central bank, you have to keep in mind that the central bank coordinates commercial banks. So if there is, if the central banks cannot provide financial stability, automatically all the commercial banks under the control of the central bank will not be able to provide such a financial stability. So to explain the link between political instability and financial instability, you have to look at the link between financial stability and the central bank. And knowing the role of the central bank, anytime the central bank cannot provide financial stability, you cannot expect a commercial bank beneath or under the control and the monitoring of the central banks to provide any sort or any kind of financial stability. So they are linked.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much. Those are very interesting answers. My last question for you, Dr. Felix, is that who will greatly benefit if they get their hands on this book? What's the target audience, and can you explain why?
Okay. The first target audience of the book is the group that I refer to as the students. Now, within the students, I may create a subgroup of MBA students and law students. MBA students, mainly those who focus or major in bank and finance, they need to have an understanding of the system that I discussed in the book, the bank deposit guarantee system. Because most of them, unless they choose to go with the investment bank, which are very few, if they join or they embrace a career in the banking, most of them will go in the commercial bank. So understanding the information that is provided in the bank is a key to their understanding. Whether they have studied this in the classroom or not, the book will still help them understand what really is in the business of commercial banks. The second subgroup is law students. Now, I think Boston University has one of the best LLM, Masters of Legal Law program in banking and finance. So those students, they are not only learning the theory, but they can connect the theory with the practice by going through different chapters that I provided in the book and try to understand how in real life banks are run. The second target is, as I said, regulators, such as those who work for the Treasury Department in the US, the FDIC, and any other regulators across the globe. Not only within the country that I discussed, but the information in the book will nurture the reflections of some countries or some regulators who may still be reluctant to embrace a regime of explicit deposit guarantee system.
That is wonderful, Dr. Felix. Thank you so much for making the time. Viewers and listeners, this was Dr. Felix, and his book can be accessed right on the link that I'm going to paste in the description panel on the upload for this video. Thank you so much, and have a good day.
Same to you. Be blessed and enjoy Easter.
Wonderful.